I now have an Xbox. Because somebody decided to give me an Xbox. I never had any intention of ever buying any Xboxes. No particular reason other than I just always ended up buying PlayStations instead. But somebody gave me this modified Xbox, and it's got this custom operating system, and it's got loads of emulators and games and stuff on the hard drive. But I do prefer to do videos of games that I actually own. So I bought a few Xbox games, and it turns out they're really cheap, generally. So I'm going to do a video of Driv3r. I did play it for about 10 minutes in free roam mode before I recorded any footage. But this is pretty much my first impression, so I didn't know what to expect. You get this intro movie here. I don't really know what's going on though. You've got the police in some sort of shootout, and you can see this guy here. He just turns up and starts shooting, but he doesn't try to get behind cover, and no one seems to even notice him or take a shot at him. And you can see there that he doesn't even need to run away. Okay, this is definitely in-game graphics. So I assume I'm a cop, or at least I work for the cops, but I'm living in this nice beachside villa. I'm not going to call this a Grand Theft Auto clone, because a lot of these games kind of started being made before Grand Theft Auto 3 was released on the PlayStation 2. And they did come out at roughly the same time, actually. So it's more like a pretty obvious concept that a lot of different companies decided to go for at the same time. Oh, there's a boat in the way. I own 2 yellow boats, apparently. So this is the first time I've done a video of an Xbox game. I haven't really played a huge amount of Xbox games. I did play a bit of Half-Life 2 and Oddworld Munch's Odyssey as well. And I always thought at the time that the Xbox was supposed to be this super powerful beast of a machine compared to the other consoles of the time, but looking at it, it's not really that much different. And I would say if there's a game that's available on the Xbox and either the PlayStation 2 or the GameCube, it will pretty much be the same game on all three. I don't think there's a huge jump in quality between the 3 different consoles. Oh, that hurt for some reason. Okay, Andrew, get out of the water. Just another day in Miami. It's a shame the weather is so murky. It's a bit grey out, isn't it? Just taking a nice stroll to work in the middle of the road. That is actually illegal in America. Jaywalking is a crime over there, which I think they're quite strict about stuff like that. Even if you just cross the road at the wrong point, then you could get arrested. It's a bit odd. You do have a right control stick which you can use to aim if you're out of the car and you've got your gun out. But when you're inside a car and you try to move the camera around, the view kind of switches to a completely side on or behind view, and that was a little bit off-putting for me because I wanted to have a little bit more control. And a lot of these cars do feel quite heavy, which makes it quite difficult to take corners at speed. But if I remember right, the first Driver game was quite like that as well. I'm here, apparently. Oh god, that looks like a Nintendo 64 game. He kind of looks like a character out of GoldenEye or Perfect Dark. There's not really much life to anything, you know. It's like they had the bare bones of the game in place, and they just weren't able to put any, what I say, details, any polish, weren't able to finish it properly. So once I work out where I'm supposed to go, the first mission is a shooting range, and I'm not really sure if you can fail this one. Now, one thing I should say, the default settings for up and down are reversed on this, and I absolutely hate that. And that's the default option, and it seems to be for quite a lot of games. I don't know why, and I don't think you can even change it in this game. And that just, it puts me off completely. So my shooting is absolutely rubbish. It might not be 100% the game's fault, but it doesn't help. Anyway, it seems a little bit odd. Almost like this is happening, but it's kind of empty, you know. And there wasn't really a proper conversation before I started this, you know. Like maybe a rival character to brag about their high score before you come in here, or some colleagues of yours, or someone to give you a gun. you just run in and start shooting away. I think I've got enough free blocks. Looking at this Xbox controller, it looks like you could buy memory cards for it as well, but they always come with a hard drive, and you could just expand your hard drive, just put a different one in there.
Came through on South Beach Bacchus, a major player on the repo circuit. We went in.
We got a situation in Little Havana requesting all units, white male, mid-30s, presumed armed. We've got a positive ID on South Beach Bacchus. Call for backup.
Okay, so now it's down to the proper action. I have to quickly follow the cops to the siege. Yeah, I failed, just like that. So this game is very stingy when it comes to the conditions for failing. This mission, all you have to do is get from A to B, but you have to keep up with the other cop car, the one with the red arrow. As soon as the game decides the car's too far away, it just pauses and you failed. And that's that. And that's very odd because it renders having this whole free roaming open city a little bit pointless if the missions are so narrow. But luckily there are a few other modes, and I'll show you some of the other stuff a bit later on. Some of the stuff does pop in a little bit, but I've got to say, so far I think this game looks pretty damn good. I mean, this generation of consoles was capable of graphics like this, of course, because you definitely had some big open game worlds in some games. But I don't remember the Grand Theft Auto games looking as good as this. But actually the frame rate in this is pretty solid as well. It's just a shame that the game just seems like it's a bare skeleton of a game. It's like it's functional from start to finish, and then it was pushed out the door. Alright, mission complete, I guess. Well done, Andy. Now, I failed this mission way more times than I really should have. But again, the requirements for failing are so strict. As soon as the car is a certain distance away, that's it, the game has decided that you failed.
It got messy. Bacchus took a hostage, so there's me waiting on backup, keeping Tanner from going in and dragging Bacchus out on.
Also, you get to see a little bit of third-person shooting and how rubbish it is. Alright, so you have to sidestep into the back way. There you go, some pro gameplay there. It's a bit weird actually because there is auto aim, but it feels like you miss anyway. And there is a crouch option, but it's very weird because I think, if I remember right, you can't move when you're crouching, but you can roll. If you're running before you press crouch, you roll. Again, it could just be me. I'm not hitting him, am I? Now this is pretty cool. There is actually two ways that car can exit, because I had to play this a few times, and he can either go left or right. You have to, again, you have to keep up with him. I didn't come across a mission where you had to smash up a car. So yeah, I've got to do this again now. Oh my god, Andy, keep up. If that bonnet would... Thank you. Now, looking at this right now, it actually looks like the first Driver game. The first Driver game isn't really something that I have huge fond memories of, but I did have it on the original PlayStation. I played it a little bit, but I found the missions to be quite boring. But I did have quite a lot of fun in the survival mode, because there was some ridiculous situations where the police cars could tap the underside of your car and knock you flying into the air over buildings and stuff, which would make for some stupid replays. And it looks like they, whether it's just because this is the same city as the first city in Driver, or they just intended to make the game look the same. It does look like a Driver game. Let's take a look at Take a Ride mode. Apparently there are 3 whole cities which have been recreated pretty accurately, although they didn't recreate the entire cities, it's just a section of the cities. I input some cheats here so you could see a bigger variety of the cars. Let's have a little drive around Nice. It's quite sunny out. See, I think this game could have been quite good, but they really had to add a bit more to it. I mean, honestly, you make 3 massive open maps, and then all of the gameplay consists of just driving from A to B. Right, this footage isn't very good, is it? Don't worry, I'll get out of it in a minute. Come on, Andy. Hold on a minute, that looks just like my car. I just used a cheat to unlock that car and you can just run along and grab another one. Is there a person sitting in there? Oh no, the cops. But I am a cop. Hold on a minute, that was a man. Oh, he... What the hell, he's shooting me? Alright, well I think I ended up back in my car again. Whoa, bloody hell. These cops are not messing about. I'm in trouble already. I think it's just stuck. I'm sure in the right location you get some pretty good views of the city. I guess the cops are not so aggressive when driving on the sand. Yeah, it's fun to mess about. in this mode, but there's no real substance to it, you know. I mean, I don't know if it's one of them things where this type of game has been expanded over time and this seems more empty now than it would have done at the time. It's difficult to judge, but I was expecting this game to be a lot worse than it actually is. It's just a little bit boring and empty, and I think you could say the same thing about the other driver games in a way. And there's a certain amount of fun to be had about driving around, but all the other games of this type, and there's a fair few of them now. There's the Saints Row games and the Getaway on the PlayStation 2, and of course there's loads of Grand Theft Auto games now. There's lots of other little things to do in the world. It kind of it gives there's a point to exploring. Well, seriously? I lost that one, did I? Alright, well, I think I'm going to end it there. That's Driver 3 for the Xbox.